Are you a CrossFit coach or maybe a box owner looking to learn more about nutrition? You want to help support the athletes that come to your box. Maybe you have some one-on-one clients. And we all know nutrition is the foundation. We all talk about the theoretical hierarchy of the development of a athlete. And nutrition is at the base. It's like building a house. You can't build the attic first. You can't worry about performance in sport without working on the foundation. And that's what nutrition is. So maybe you're a coach, maybe you're a box owner, maybe you're just an athlete looking to potentially earn a little more income, develop a new income stream as a nutrition coach. Well, you could check out the Own Your Eating certificate course. We review fundamental nutrition principles as well as teaching you how to implement flexible eating, that's macro counting, and assist others with their tracking of macros. The cool thing about it is you're going to learn so much for yourself. Even if you didn't want to coach anyone else, but you simply wanted to learn more about tracking macros, you will get so much out of this course. It'll be the last thing you ever have to read, study, purchase because you're going to get so much information, as well as sharing nutrition experience with you. Own Your Eating will also teach you how to coach others so that you can really make a difference with the people in your community and your lives. Maybe you need to finally get your mom to track macros. Maybe it's your best friend. Maybe you put on the quarantine 15 and you're looking to just lose a few lbs, a few pounds yourself. This will teach you all of that. And the cool thing about macros, the cool thing about the way in which we at Own Your Eating teach you is it's really sustainable. The business setup and marketing strategies are also included. So if you do really want to make this a side deal or a side hustle, you'll have all the tools you'll ever need to do. And in addition to that, if you're a level 3 CrossFit coach, you can earn CEUs to help you revalidate. And we also give CEUs for NASM as well as AFA. So you can check that out. For me, every few years, I need to re up my L4, no big deal, L4 coach, but this will help you do it. So if you're interested in learning more about the Own Your Eating certificate course, you can go to courses.ownyoureating.com. Or if you just go to ownyoureating.com, right up in the header there, it says Become a Coach. You can click on that. And with the code BEST HOUR, that's BESTHOUR, BEST HOUR, you'll get 15% off. Go check it out now. I was the one, along with Roz, who helped put this all together. So I really understand that if you have questions for me about it, of course you can reach out. But I really believe in it. I've put hundreds of people through this course. It's the way I learned how to track macros. It's the way I've been tracking macros for over 5 years, and I think you will absolutely love it. So go check it out again, courses.ownyoureating.com, and use that code BESTHOUR for 15% off. Let's roll Adam. Adam Feit back on the Best Hour of Their Day podcast, representing Precision Nutrition. Welcome back.
It's an honor to be back, man. I will be completely transparent. This is the best hour of my day. I got a lot going on, and I've been excited to get back and talk with you, man.
You guys busy over at Precision Nutrition? Are people trying to get their lives together during this pandemic?
Strange enough, there's a lot of people out there that need our help, but it's amazing what a pandemic and furloughs and the shift to online work has done in the nutrition industry. So yeah, we're busy. We're working on a lot of projects right now and hopefully bringing some positivity and purpose to 2020. I know it hasn't been easy for a lot of us, myself included, but very fortunate we had a little jump start on this remote work thing. So very, very lucky to have that.
Yeah, you guys were already working from home, right? One of those few companies, maybe not few companies, but one of the companies that didn't have to pivot too much.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was finishing up school. I'm finishing up my dissertation right now, and everybody at the college and university were like, all right, we're going to try this Zoom thing, and we're going to do Zoom tutorials. And you've got your classic, old school professors muted and trying to talk, and they look like that. And so, yeah, we had a little bit of a head start. So I've done some tutorials for our coaching staffs and whatnot, and using Slack. So again, very lucky. Didn't have to change too much. I think if anything, it was just the hours of the day because the kids were now home a lot more than we anticipated. So
Yeah, You're a teacher now as well.
Yeah.
But your kids are
So
young, right? They're not at the school age.
they're well, they're 8 and 6. They're
Oh,
gonna be
so
eight and
they are,
six.
yeah.
Yeah. So we're not exactly at like that Google Chrome laptop, Chromebook type thing stage yet. So my partner and I, we would rotate in terms of, ideally I wanted to do like health, nutrition, and PE because that's my background. So, we're playing games all day, but I had to throw in some of the concrete math and science and reading things. But yeah, we turned our home office upstairs into my wife's office and kind of the kids' office. They booted me downstairs. So I'm kind of like on the other side of the playroom now, but it works out. But yeah, a couple changes in schedules, you adapt and overcome. That's what great coaches do.
What was something you had to teach the kids that you completely forgot that's like kindergarten? Because they're 8 and 6, so I'm assuming they're what, kindergarten, maybe second grade?
Yeah,
What are
exactly.
they?
That was it. Yeah, my son was 7, so they were 7 and 5 during this. My son just had a birthday, and so yeah, we had kindergarten for my 5-year-old, and we had second grade for obviously my 7-year-old. One thing I still can't figure it out is I don't know what they're called, but like we learned 2 letters next to each other, like CK, right, or SH, like they're called a certain thing, and I'm trying to teach them that, but they have a completely different language. They call them like fundamentals, but it's digraphs. I don't even know if that's it. We could probably look it up, but I was like, oh yeah, like this. And he's like, no, Dad, that's a digraph. I'm like, what's a digraph? So that, and then actually fractions. I had to get back into fractions because I've been removed from that so much. Like I'm not fixing things in my garage because my gym's in there. So it's not like I'm pulling out 7/8 socket wrenches. And so, yeah, fractions and multiple syllable sounds with kids. No problem for
So
them. But I was like, what am I doing?
like an SH, like a
Yeah.
you gotta
Like, but you had to, there was a term that was like, if it's followed by a vowel and preceded by a vowel, it's a completely different rule, kind of like the I before E except after C, and sounds like my name. But I just threw me for a complete loop. So my mother-in-law is a retired teacher. So, we got on a couple Facebook videos because she doesn't have Zoom, and we got it ironed out. But
she knows Zoom is free. It's just easy,
she
quick download.
yeah, we figured that out. And I got to tell you, I mean, I don't want to speak for other companies, but man, I've done some Skypes lately, and I started kind of thinking like, where's Skype been? Like they kind of had like a 10-year head start on this remote video conferencing thing, and I feel nobody's talking about it whatsoever.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those instances where Skype was the verb, right? Like back in the day, like, how old are you?
35, just
So
turned
you're,
35.
well, happy birthday. I mean, you're a few years
Thanks,
younger
man.
than me, but you probably still remember the Jetsons. Like
Yeah.
when we were watching that, it was like syndication before school. But it's like one day you'll be able to talk to somebody on the phone and you'll see them in person, and it was like, okay, Skype is here, it's happening. And you're right. Like, I think is it just one of those companies that didn't evolve with the times? Like, what did Zoom do that they jumped over, they leapfrogged Skype?
Hmm.
What did do you, well, I mean, what is your, I mean, my answer is, I think it came down to ease of finding people. That'd be my number one thing. I used to set up Skypes for these calls, and it's like, what's your number? What's your username? Where are you? Gotta find you. And it was a pain in the ass, where now it's like, here's my room, hop in and we can record.
I think honestly, man, that is the number one thing. And the same thing holds true with nutrition, right? Is if you create resistance towards buying a product or delivering services or getting results, the more resistance you create, the more resistance you're going to get back to you, right? So like you said, username and best number to reach you at, and then you have to add them as a friend, right? And then you're looking at your list. I haven't used Skype in years, and I'm like, what's all the spam messages for? So I think that was the lower barrier of entry and the ease of use. Like I can send a link, join at any time. I can do breakout sessions. That was crucial working with like students and athletes. Like, hey, we're going to talk about this and we're going to record it from here, but then I'm going to send you off and do your own thing. So I didn't buy any stock in Zoom. I kind of missed that bandwagon, but it's been a really great tool. And I think it's made a lot of things a lot easier now, especially with what's been happening.
Yeah, I have a handful of people that still send me like Skype requests for calls. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And you're absolutely right. To tie it into nutrition, it's the nice thing about Zoom is, and along with what you guys do well at Precision Nutrition, is it's these baby steps. By the
Mm-hmm.
time by the time I realize I'm on a diet, you've reeled me in. I've made like 20 different decisions that have made it easier. Same with Zoom. Like, okay, my first time I get on it, oh, that was easy. Now maybe I'll use it again next time. Oh, now there's a record feature. Now there's a chat. So you're learning just like nutrition. It's the difference between, hey, wake up and have a glass of water to start your new diet, and hey guys, we need you to weigh, measure, do X, Y, and Z, and it's overwhelming. And now you're the Skype of nutrition. Is that that's a bad. I hope no one from Skype is listening, because that was a bad. But I do hope
But
people from Zoom are listening and get me some stock.
absolutely get some sponsorships going. You can reach us at, but it really lends itself to like where you're going with that in terms of the automaticity of the habit forming process, right? I found myself, I don't know how because I know you're doing a lot of work well within the space, but like, hey, can we chat real quick? I'm like, yeah, no problem. And I'd send them a Zoom link. And I met with a lot of resistance with some people like, oh, hey, can we just like hop on the phone real quick? Or like, can you just, shoot me a text? I was like, oh yeah, my fault. Like, I'm just so used to like, yeah, let's get a quick Zoom in. And so I think when you're in new territory, right? You can do the big kahuna, right? Like, what's the biggest thing I can change right now? I'm sure a lot of us, I'm curious to hear your thoughts, Jason, on like what's happened for you and the people you've worked with in terms of like this COVID era of nutrition. Are they reaching for the big kahuna, the thing that's going to be the major roadblock out of their way? Or are they continuously grabbing like the low hanging fruits and building up the success and finding the bright spots and building momentum to carry them through? And I think a lot of that was really evident in this remote process of trying to figure everything working out.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest obstacles with coaching people and with anyone learning and trying to improve their nutrition is it's one of those things where there's so much information out there. They hear from their friends, their family. For example, I'm doing carnivore right now, just testing it out. And people may see my results and be like, I'm doing carnivore, where it's like, no, no, no. I've been doing this nutrition thing a very long time. So
Mm-hmm.
you jumping to carnivore probably isn't going to work the same way it is for me. Let's go with, hey, let's eat only good quality foods for a month. Then, people want the results and they want them yesterday versus realizing, hey, we have to chip away at them.
I love that. I want to hear more about that because I know the last time we chatted, we talked briefly about that. I know you've had some carnivore guests on since then, and Mark Bell had been on it. I know Joe Rogan did a podcast on it, but I I think you bring light to a good point here. Is what you're doing right now isn't the lead-in generation option for a lot of people because you have the experience, you've done the reps with all other various forms of eating, right? So I know in coaching, a lot of people ask me, hey, what books are you reading? I want to know like what you're doing to get better. And it's like, you have to understand, you have to read all of these other books to understand the books I'm reading now and getting those reps in throughout that process. So I think that's really evident in the nutrition diet world as well.
What do you do to get people to understand that? Because it's hard. It's a hard balance. Somebody comes to you and they're ready to make this change, and you have to actually tell them to slow it down. And they might be like, "Wait, I'm
Mm-hmm.
ready. Like, let me do it all." But you have to explain to them, "Hey, if you do everything I tell you, this is going to last 3 days."
I think it's a little bit of a balance of meeting them where they're at, which I think is a majority of what a great coach should do, right? You don't want to stretch them out too much, but also add in an element of that there is some challenge, there is something out of their reach, like any good goal would be, right? And let them experiment throughout that process. That's something that I've seen a lot with the university and youth athletes I've worked with, right? They're ready for the supplements, they're ready for the nutrient timing and the macro splits, and coaches tell me my macros, I'll make it work. And so maybe I do start off with like, hey, this is kind of the ballpark number I'm working with because you want to do this, but I'm going to break it up simple for you so you can do that. Do you think you can really crush this right now. Because if you crush this, we're just going to continue to move forward. So I think it's an element of giving them what they need while also kind of masquerading it with what they want. And obviously that's going to change with every client that you work with.
Yeah, giving them those little wins like we talked about last time. What has been from your end on precision nutrition some of the biggest things that you've noticed in the nutrition space when it came to the quarantine? For example, there's the quarantine 15, reminiscent of the freshman 15 in college. And I went through it. I don't know if you went. I did the, ups and downs of I'm going to eat whatever I want. I'm going to do a fast. I'm going to get back to normal. I'm going to do carnivore. So I was all over the place a little bit. It was tough. The motivation was gone for a lot of people. I think for so many people, when you're going to the gym and you're doing your diet and your nutrition is dialed in, they work together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people found when I removed one, the training aspect, for some reason mentally it was a little bit harder to stay focused. That could have just been me being, chubby by nature, my fat kid at heart, and just been like I was crushing nuts and more. I don't know if you know what nuts and more is.
It's a brand of peanut butter stuff, right? Or
It's yeah,
more
it's
butters.
yeah, but they have this cake batter one, and it's so
It's pretty
calorically
awesome.
dense. It's delicious. Yeah, but I was crushed. I mean, we were ordering, 4 on Amazon every couple days. It seemed like.
Yeah. So a couple things come up for me here. Number one, yeah, the freshman 15, you're talking to a guy that gained the freshman 50. Okay.
Did you? I did as well.
5-0. I came
Mostly
in,
free beer.
Miller High Life and Easy Mac were just staples of my diet as a college football player who had to gain weight. So we laugh about that now. And I've had my ups and downs, right? I've always been a naturally bigger guy. Like I usually sit, between 105, 115 kilos and 230 plus, like just naturally bigger guy. And the freshman 15 and now the quarantine 15, I'm actually on track to lose, quarantine 50 because I've been able to really dial things back down, to really get back to some routines and rituals and just strategies that I ignored because I kept telling myself I was so busy that I didn't have time to do all that, right? So as you're going through that process, and I'm learning, in psychology, we call that the fresh start effect. That's why Mondays are so popular to start over, right? That's why tomorrow morning is so instrumental in changing. January 1, it's the same thing. And I found myself at the beginning of quarantine, especially, right? There were no health foods available, right? It was all of my childhood favorites. It were bagel bites. It was Hot Pockets. It was, microwavable pizzas and whatnot. And so I tried to validate to myself, like, well, that's all the grocery store has, right? Like I got to eat it. And then I just kept doing it. So I had a little bit of a wake up call and realized I was going to be graduating soon. And, again, practice what we preach and do a little bit better job, and got it together. So still on that path, and just very fortunate. I've got the support and the time now to do that. And that's something I'm going to hopefully keep doing.
Well, is it hard for you? You got a 8 and a 6-year-old, and I imagine they like those foods that you also like, the
Mm-hmm.
easy foods. I mean, you just when you said bagel bites and Hot Pockets, it was like,
Brought you back, didn't it? It brought you
yeah,
back.
and it's so funny. I think about it, like you go through those waves. I remember after college when you're like, don't have a lot of money and you're trying to eat, and you're like, I'll buy a lean pocket because that's good for you,
Yep.
and I'll make a bagel pizza, but I'll put low fat cheese on it because that. So everyone goes through those, like what they think they're doing is healthy, but I assume you have to keep some of those foods. You can feed your kids really healthy, but do you still have some of those foods around the house?
Yeah, absolutely. And, the kids have their cabinet that they go to. It's been interesting because we've kind of built in a little bit of a routine. So, my wife, she's prepping to teach right now. Our college is back in live session in terms of they're going to start instead of just remote or hybrid. So she's in teaching prep right now. So normally, at 12 o'clock, I get as much work as I can in the morning. 12 o'clock hits, I take the kids for lunch. We do some activities. Then they go to movie time in the afternoon. But now movie time, like they got it down pat. Like now my wife, she buys soft pretzels that are healthy. and then I make them popcorn and I get the bowls ready. Like they're Pavlovian conditioned to like, once I smell popcorn, it's movie time. So we've got that routine down. And I think putting myself, and this is just me, and this maybe some of the clients that you've worked with and I've worked with, I do really well with like hard stops, hard no's. I had a coach tell me once that we were talking about alcohol, one becomes none until one becomes one. And it was so powerful for me to be like, hey, you can't have a cookie unless you can only have one. And you can continue to have it if that's only it, whatever the matter was be. But for a lot of people, they do better with little instrumental changes. Personally, me, I came up with a system of like, these are the things I'm going to do. These are the things I'm not going to do. I needed that. That's helped me a lot. So reaching in my kid's snack cabinet, like chips and salsa are my kryptonite. And I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to do that. And so it's worked out. But notoriously, history has shown itself. If I don't have those kind of guardrails in place, it can be exciting and debilitating at the same time.
Well, and it's funny you say that because that's kind of what led me to carnivore. I obviously the people you mentioned earlier, the Mark Bells and the Joe Rogans, were influential in just hearing from them, seeing their results. And it was one day at breakfast, we were having bacon and eggs, and I was like, when we finish X, Y, and Z that was in the pantry, I'll start carnivore. I said to my wife, and she's like, no, just start today. And I was like, damn it, like, you're right. Like, I'm just making excuses. Nothing's going to go bad. The
Right.
food's in the freezer. But I like that idea and the principle of it's black and white. Is it meat? No, don't eat it. Yes, eat it. So, and that was part of it, being in this quarantine and realizing, okay, I'm lacking a little bit of self-control. At night, I would chill out watching Netflix or relaxing on the couch. And that's where I like the carnivore for that reason. I don't think it's for everybody. And I don't know what the health implications are going to be afterwards. But for right now, I like that idea of, one is none.
Yeah. And it's, again, like, it's not for everybody whatsoever. And I think, but for the most part, it can relieve a lot of the decision fatigue that comes in, right? I may come from a diet camp of there is no best diet. So whether it's carnivore, whether it's vegan, whether it's plant-based, whether it's a mixed macro diet, paleo, what have you, it does create opportunities for more possibilities, right? More options. Well, I can have this. And if I just use the low fat here, right? Macros, for a good 6 to 8 weeks, I was doing some really, really detailed tracking, and I enjoyed it because I didn't have to cut out those foods that I previously had made forbidden. However, we have to realize as coaches that what is going to work in the best context of their life, and most specifically, what are they going to be able to keep sustainable? And so, like you said, hey, I'm doing this as an experiment. I am all about that. Love trying things, right? Once, twice, if I like it, 3 times, I don't know, we'll see. But it's important to give clients that autonomy and that opportunity for them to see how it works for them. Or else they're just going to continually ask you, what about this? What about that? Give them an opportunity to see how it feels for them,
Yeah, and I've always been hesitant ever since tracking and doing my macros to make a change, to test things out, because I was seeing a lot of success that I was worried that I would ruin it. And then I was like, well, I'm doing clients, listeners, other people a disservice if I'm not trying it myself to see whether I like it, what the results are. There may be something better out there.
Yeah. And I didn't do carnivore, but when Game Changers came out, I don't know did you see that on Netflix?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Everybody did, right? Including all of my players, like at the college. And all of a sudden, in the group chats, like, oh yeah, we're going to have the smallest and softest offensive line because Sammy's eating vegan now. And he was getting no support, but I saw him change his behaviors, and he's asking me, he's worried like everybody else was. Am I getting enough protein? Is this going to affect my hormone levels? And just like you, I was like, you know what? I eat primarily plant-based. I eat a lot of plants. I eat a ton of meat, but like I'm always having a foundation of quality sources there. But let's do it. So I did a 1 week true vegan, 100%, lots of plant-based foods. And I felt pretty good, but I had a better indication of maybe some of the challenges my clients would face. I had a better realization of how easy some components were, and also how hard the other ones were. And that made me a better coach.
Yeah, that's a really good point. When I was doing carnivore at first and I posted about it, I said I'm going to do 7 days, and everybody kind of gave me some backlash of 7 days isn't enough. You need to do 30, you need to do 90. And like you're saying for the plant-based diet, you're missing the point. In those 7 days, I can learn a lot. I can learn, hey, by the way, if you don't prepare food, that's going to be a struggle on carnivore versus macros where I can just grab something out of the pantry, or hey, this is something I found works really well. You do learn a lot of these tips and tricks and things to look out for that you can help your, whether it's a football player or a 50-year-old housewife. You learn these things by testing and trying. And I suppose that doesn't matter whether it's nutrition or fitness. You need to be battle tested, and you need to really be open-minded in that. It's
Mm-hmm.
when you mentioned game changers, that's one of those things that took a back seat during this quarantine. It was like top of mind, and then all of a sudden pandemic happened. You don't hear anything about it anymore. I mean, it's almost a year ago at this point, but still it kind of fell off.
Well, and it's amazing how, and I think we talked about it. We have an article on our website, but that's always going to come in, right? You look at the history of documentaries like that because they're built to, really rivet the audience and challenge the norm and get people to start thinking about it. But what do you see now? Now you log into Netflix, and I'm guilty of it too, right? The top 10 things people are watching, and you're like, boom, all right, well, Umbrella Academy it is, right?
Do you like that show?
I'm still watching it, so I guess so.
That's kind of one that's like,
it's a little out there though. My wife and I watch it, and it's interesting.
It's on my radar. It's on my radar to watch. I watched all 23 Marvel movies over the quarantine. And that was like, each movie took a day or two. I'd watch an hour or so. So that really monopolized a lot of my chill time. And now that I'm done with it, I'm like, okay, what next? And Umbrella Academy was one of those things. I don't know if the listeners have some recommendations for me. Of course, just you can always find some obscure movie on Netflix and Disney and all that, but I don't have anything guiding me right now.
Yeah, well, I'd be curious to hear that. So hopefully when this gets launched, I get some recommendations too. But I went through a spell of Homeland. We watched all 8 or 9 seasons of Homeland, and that took a while. And then I actually finally, for the first time in my life, we watched all the Star Wars movies. Probably in the wrong order.
Did you get Disney or something for the kids?
Disney Plus, man. Yeah, we're Verizon customers, and it was on, and kids loved it. So
that's what we did. So what order did you watch the Star Wars?
I want to say we watched the original. So I guess the traditional order, right? So what's that? 4? No, I'm sorry. So how many are there? There's 8?
9. You're not a
okay,
Star
9.
Wars fan. You're going to get a lot of hate.
Oh, I didn't say I was a fan. I just said I finally watched them. So let's see. 4, 5, and 6 were technically the first 3, correct?
Correct. So A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi.
Look at you.
And I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I don't know the intricacies and the details, but I know enough that I can,
come
my way into Comic-Con.
You got a stormtrooper helmet right to the side. Don't put it on. Let them know. So I think we watched it 7, 8, and then went 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, and then finally 9, because 9 I think had just come out and it wasn't ready yet, so we had to kind of wait until it was legal and whatnot. So, but it was, we'd probably watch it all in order again. But it was great to just see the kids kind of, my son's 8 now, he was 7 watching it. It can get pretty interesting and violent, but I think like anything, the storytelling can do so much for change. And you have the galaxy and what's happening and where is Luke and how did this all get here? You can create your client's story as well. And I think by having those key pivotal moments in their journey, it keeps them engaged and invested in the long haul.
So what would be one of the key moments in Luke Skywalker's journey that would be relatable to a client?
I'm glad you asked that, Jason. So in episode 8...
Did you have that written down somewhere?
No, I didn't. But, I don't know which one this is. There is a component where Luke feels lost, right? Like, I'm just going to throw myself to the other side of the galaxy. I'm going to do my own fresh start. I'm going to leave the life that I've lived and just not deal with it anymore. And this is completely on the spot. So I hope this is matching what you're looking for here. But I think that's very applicable to how clients may attribute food with how maybe they're coping, especially during a time like this, right? We've seen a natural uptick in emotional and stress eating. So what have I done? What have some of our clients done? A majority of people is they engage in these behaviors, these maladaptive eating behaviors, to temporarily block the pain, the discomfort, the stress that they're feeling in hopes of a new beginning. And as we know,
A new hope.
boom, you like how I did that, right? It doesn't end up that way for a lot of them. So that would be my comparison of Star Wars to eating during the pandemic. How'd I do?
I think that was good. Like I said, I'm not my stormtrooper helmet's a little dusty over there, but it's I'm not in. But I think what's interesting is the the reason someone can enjoy Star Wars like me, that's not like deep into it. It's like it's the hero's journey that you guys talk about, any good coach talks about, and it's why someone can get sucked into this story for 9 movies and or more. And if you're a coach, you need to probably figure that out for your clients and maybe write it down. Maybe it becomes part of your business model. Maybe it becomes just how you handle people. But you're on their journey, and that's, I think, for a lot of coaches what they have to remember. This isn't about you. What can we do for Luke or Leia or Chewie? We need to think about it, and everyone's journey might be a little bit different as well.
Yeah, and I think you could take that into a series, right? Like on Netflix, for instance. I went through Homeland, and the evolution of a character, right? You grow accustomed to the downfalls and their successes and attributes and how they change. Carrie was a schizophrenic CIA agent that just incredible how it changed. We're Breaking Bad, for instance, right? Like the evolution and the changes in the characters, like you talked about, that hero's journey, understanding and applying that to your client's journey. They're not always going to be the hero that saves the day. They may be the villain in their own thoughts and feelings or behaviors, or they may cause destruction in their own life or somebody else's. But accepting them for who they are and consciously bringing them back to a state of acceptance and understanding, that's what's going to keep you in the game for the long haul.
I was watching old episodes of Howard Stern on YouTube recently. Like, until I find something new, I kind of just like mindlessly binge, at night, chilling out. And there was an episode with Artie Lang, who was a heroin addict, and Dr. Drew was on the show, who many people would know as like
Loveline.
Loveline back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, as I'm watching this, kind of just really zoning out, like getting ready for bed, I'm like, wow, this dude, Dr. Drew, is so empathetic. And it was really like eye-opening to me about him and what makes a good doctor and coach, because I'm watching, I'm like, how is he like so sappy? Like, he's just like into it and like compassionate and like, things that as men we're like, we don't want these attributes. And now you realize, hey, these are really important characteristics to have to make you not only a better coach, but a better human being. And I think that's part of what makes a good coach. If you don't have that ability to be compassionate, to be empathetic, to put yourself in their shoes and look back on their history and their life and figure out why they're acting this way, you're not going to last in this industry very long.
Yeah, actually, I've got a note. I just pulled it up because we're working on some materials and we were talking about the power of empathy. And I remembered a book that I'm sure To Kill a Mockingbird. Remember that one from old school grammar, maybe high school, middle school
I think
English?
It was freshman year in high school. We had to read To Kill a Mockingbird. I think I watched the movie with Gregory Peck instead.
Yeah. And, and I forgot, and I was, doing some research on kind of, how people interpret it or maybe how it's portrayed in the media. And I have it on a sticky note digitally on my computer. And it says, Atticus Finch, he tells young Scout that you never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, but until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. And like, that's why I commend you for doing things that maybe have some naysayers and what are you doing? And you're not doing it long enough. Hey, you want to understand how it feels in their skin. And I think as coaches, as we portray ourselves as people who maybe have struggled with their weight or, emotional stress management issues or just overall performance, you're going to make your clients understand that you're that much more relatable and authentic. And again, it's going to develop a coach or client to athlete, client coach relationship that's like powerful and that is like forged that can handle anything.
What do you think about a coach putting on 50, 100 pounds to lose it in order to gain that,
Oh yeah.
connection and understanding? Is that the fit to fat to fit kind of coach?
I remember seeing that. Yeah. And I followed the story for a little bit, but eventually like blood lipids were atrocious, felt really depressed, did it to understand how his clients were feeling, and then ended up losing everything. Right.
Yeah, he got back in great shape.
Yeah. Uh, that's an interesting question. I think, well, let's go back to what's the original purpose? Is the original purpose to truly understand what it's like for a short time to help you become a better coach? Or is it a spin-off to show that you can do it with your great coaching, that anybody can change their behaviors and habits? Because I think you can look at it from either side of the coin. I think temporarily, it might be a quick insight, kind of like a peek into their life. But I can tell you, for somebody that struggled, being an offensive lineman and then graduating from that, getting fit, and then growing up and trying to get fit again and now fit again and all that, it's a lot more than just a couple months. So does it give you the authority to act on their behalf because you know how they feel? I don't know.
Yeah, I've kind of had that delusion of trying that, but I know, like he did, and like you mentioned, I would get super depressed just not being able to train like I want to train, with being unhappy with what I see. But hey, that's part of it, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
part of understanding what it's like for people that are struggling to lose weight.
Yeah. And it's going to happen through all various stages of life. And I think understanding that the triggers that maybe create that environment to happen, especially now more than ever, right? I think especially parents are home with their kids a lot more. There's maybe some pressures from work, unless you work for a great company like I do, where they truly understand and meet you where you're at. It's to be conscious of that and understand that it's going to have an effect on you. And it's going to be a lot more longer lasting than we might associate it with or maybe give it credit for.
Is there pressure in your company to be fit?
From a corporation perspective, like position stand.
I mean, I know John's not really involved anymore, right? But
But he
is there
looks
like a
great. Let's
seat?
be honest.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
be
he looks,
honest.
but it's culture, right? It trickles down.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know who the new CEO is or who's running it, but you don't get a call like, hey, Adam, I understand we're in a quarantine, but we need to stop things in a little bit. Like, enough with the Hot Pockets.
Yeah. Oh, but they're lean and they're ham and cheese, so that's
Yeah, the ham
healthier
and
than
cheese is low fat. It's only 7 grams of fat.
um, no, there's no directed pressures whatsoever. Our new CEO is executive chairman. Tim Jones is a phenomenal leader. He's been with us for a number of years. Mark Zions is actually an elite level cyclist and takes care of his body. He's completely plant-based, if I believe it correctly. And what's great about the process, it's almost, I was talking about it earlier, we call ourselves precision nutrition, but in reality, what we teach and what we practice by has nothing to do with precision. Everything is about progress. Everything is about moderation. Everything is about doing the best you can with what you have where you are. So personally, may I put more pressure on myself to be a award-winning nutrition coach that looks like John Berardi? I might, but I know that's not going to happen. But does it encourage me to maybe live a little bit more closer, practice a little bit more frequent, the things that I believe to hold to be true, and to understand that, hey, I have a responsibility to the people I coach as well as my own family? Yeah, I think so. But yeah, none of that is directed whatsoever, because I think that's what makes great coaching, is understanding all of the intersecting factors that are affecting your physical health, your emotional health, social, existential, all these aspects of the wheel we call deep health, which makes it really great. But I mean, I'll be honest, if I was just a regular old strength coach, just cared about getting my totals up and my times down, I probably wouldn't worry about nutrition as much as I do now.
Yeah, moderate nutrition doesn't have the same ring as precision nutrition.
No, and good enough or almost there. So,
Good
but it's
enough
interesting.
nutrition. I like
Yeah,
that. No, and I'd say it's pretty much the same in the CrossFit space. But you show up to a seminar and you've packed on 20 or 30 pounds, you might hear about it from your colleagues, and I think some of that is accountability, some of that is your friends, just giving you the business. But I think when you're in this space, be it nutrition, fitness, exercise, there's underlying pressure to look a certain way. But I think also we only get involved in this because we believe in it and want to do it ourselves. I don't know what comes first for me. I don't want to be the overweight nutrition coach, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, I would never let myself get there because I really enjoy the act and the art and the principles of eating well and training right.
Yeah. And within that combination, you're not only going to experience results, but other people are going to be able to see that. And they're going to be able to understand that, like, hey, he can have his donut and eat it too, right? Or he can still train really, really hard. And I think that's where, especially a lot of coaches recently, whether they've gone through PN level 1 or a level 2 certification, but they're strongly attached to maybe a more macro perspective instead of, let's say, hand-based portion sizes, what have you, is you're creating that experience, or you're creating that opportunity for your clients to choose what's best for them, choosing your own adventure and realizing, yeah, hey, go have a couple beers and indulge on a Friday or Saturday. But you also know that you've built in a foundational system of behaviors and eating strategies to allow you to do that and be completely happy with that.
Choose your own adventure. Do they still make those books?
You remember those? Those were awesome too. Love
Yeah.
them.
Whatever happened to them? They need to come back. Maybe they're still out there and I just got older.
Maybe we should do. What are your thoughts on collaborating on a choose your own insert health, fitness, nutrition
I
adventure?
love it. Any choose your own. I'm for. As long as people don't skip around like I used to do and just read the different possibilities, But those were always my favorite books.
Yeah.
What are the books that an 8-year-old like? Do they get a summer reading list still? Like, does he have a list of books he has to read before heading to the third grade?
Not yet. So we're in a small town, like 10, 15,000 people, and they usually do like one book. Well, I'd say one book for the summer. Last year was James and the Giant Peach. We haven't got one this year because hashtag COVID. So there's been other priorities like trying to get us back into school. But he is really into Captain Underpants right now and Captain Awesome. So he's been doing really great with the graphic novels, like the comic book type stuff. And I know there's speculation on whether that's real reading or not, but my son will just take his books and go to work, and he's reading them. He reads them to us. So we're enjoying that. My daughter, on the other hand, we're still in the 5-minute princesses and fairies bedtime stories. So we're
Well,
working on that.
I think the right answer is anything that's keeping them occupied and out of your hair while they're home for 24 hours is a
Yes.
success.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big help, especially now when daddy needs to get some work done. And even for that itself, like, like, dad, you're working all the time. And I'm like, oh, guys, no, I am, but I'm not, because you're just used to not seeing me for 7 hours a day. Like, I try and get all that done when you're not here. You're here. Like, you're in my house now, which is where work is. So we had a tough time like March and April to really understanding that. And I think we're settled into a good routine now.
Is there school opening in the fall?
So the school committee is actually voting today. And so for all the listeners out there, I'll be sure to report back. But over 80% of the town voted for a hybrid model. So it's looking like a Monday, Tuesday off, 2 days a week, 3 days off, however you slice it. So we'll find out. But I'm in Massachusetts, and changing some regulations, whatnot. So they're hoping for that. And then the college that my wife teaches at right now, we are live in class person with some subtle adjustments.
Wait a sec. So a hybrid model to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you're exposed and like, what's the difference? Like that 3 days is not enough. It's not like a quarantine period. So some if someone has it, they're spreading COVID, whether there's 3 days off or 0 days off.
Yeah, so there's been some interesting dialogue on that, right? Like, is it enough? Are they truly going to deep clean as much as they say they will? Will it make a difference? Do we also open up the floodgates for more interactions? Because now, essentially, let's say we do hybrid. My kids go to school Monday, Tuesday. So now they're collaborating with everybody on site, but then now those people are exposed to more people who then are exposing to even more people. So I'm not a epidemiologist. I can't speak on the effectiveness of that, or school committee member or governor, what have you. But we do have some challenging times ahead of us. And I think more than ever, we have to continually be adaptable and understand that things will change, and they will change again. And if anything we've learned in the past 5 to 6 months is that, and we've got to be able to harness that to our fullest potential.
Are you studying third grade math though to be prepared?
My wife actually did pick me up some books for my birthday. So we've got some workbooks and workshops up ahead. We're actually getting a dog this Saturday.
Oh
And so
yeah? What do you get? Look at this.
yeah,
There you go. Check this guy out. You see
look
him?
at that guy. Yeah.
Rocky's asleep on my lap. Yeah.
We are getting a puppy. We tried getting a rescue, but everybody else wanted to get a rescue during COVID, and they weren't allowing like interstate deliveries because of everything. So we're going with a 7.5-week-old red fox yellow lab. And we were on a class yesterday offering, there's Zoom classes for everything now, Jason.
Oh,
So
we were
sign
on
up.
a pregnancy class last night. Yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah.
congratulations on that.
Well, thanks. Yeah, Roz is just signing us up for every possible class we can take. So
Why not? You got to be prepared for everything. So yeah, yesterday we were on a family call with learn more about laboratory retrievers. And so we're trying to figure that out. So I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. I know that I'm not cleaning the bathrooms anymore in the house. I told my wife, I'll take care of the dog if you take care of the bathrooms. So I think I'm making out on top.
you'd be surprised. I've had a lab and we've got a golden doodle now as well, and lots of energy. So you may drop a couple pounds because you're going to be walking a lot.
Yeah, it works out. We have a dead end street. I think everybody's got a dog. So you talked about battle tested earlier. I'm actually more than halfway through Andy Frisella's 75 hard. Have you seen that yet?
I've had numerous. My good buddy who's out here in Denver is currently doing it, and then another friend of mine reached out to me about it. What do you like about it?
I'll tell you what, I love it. The fact that it has challenged me to confront my excuses and actually tell me I do have time. Like I'm 39 days in, and I have made 90 minutes of deliberate workout time in 2 different 45-minute segments. Like
That's the
that's
that's the gist of it, right? You have to do two 45-minute
yeah,
segments every day for
every
75
day.
days.
One's got to be outdoors, which has been a little challenging. It's not hard. Like it's easy. You can go for a walk for 45 minutes, like I have a weighted vest. I do, I've got a prowler, I got an erg, like I do stuff in the driveway. But it's like when you don't get that outdoor workout in, and then it's like 10 o'clock at night and you're like, I got to turn on the garage light and I'm outside in the mosquitoes and I got to get it done. So 45 minutes inside, at least one outside, a gallon of water. You got to follow a diet plan, no cheats or alcohol, and you got to read 10 pages a day and a progress photo every day. And all of those little tasks, they can add up. But if you just get back into a rhythm and routine, which has helped me, it's been going really well.
So the 10 pages can be any book.
Nonfiction, professional development, so to speak.
Not,
Yeah.
and then the diet can be any diet so long as you stick to it.
Correct. Although if you ask the purists, right, like I'm sure you've dealt with carnivore and other diets, they'll tell you that like you can't just do if it fits your macros, because as people just try and fit anything they can in there. So there's a lot of ambiguity there. I know what I got to do, and I know I can keep to that. So that's my, battle tested flag there. But yeah, anything you want.
And you're enjoying it?
I am. I'm over the hump now. So
Yeah,
I
you're
feel
like
sorry.
exactly halfway, right?
Yeah, I feel sorry I feel, I don't know. It sucks if you fail after coming this far. So,
And what would that be? If you miss one of those things, you're done.
done.
There's no like make up this day. You're back to zero.
Back to the top. And so, you join the Facebook support groups and people are really like bummed out, like day 22 and I fell asleep and I still had 5 ounces of water to drink. Right. And you're like, ugh.
If that's what you miss out on, right? Like, it's like, if you're going to miss anything, the 45-minute workout.
Yeah. But even to go back into like how people have been able to cope in a good way, right? Of like establishing new routines and schedules, like a lot of those tasks you can bang out right away. Like get up, read 10 pages, take a photo, get a workout in, boom, that's 3 done, right? And then the dieting and the no alcohol thing, like that can be managed. Find schedule your next workout. The water thing, I'll be honest, was kind of challenging because like I'm all about like drinking about half your body weight in ounces per day. Like that's what I tell my athletes. But you know, a gallon, I'm carrying the jug again, like I was back in high
That's
school.
right over by my stormtrooper helmet. There's my
Right
gallon over
there,
there.
there it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, you got some work to do there, coach. But yeah, after a week of that, I was like, okay. But man, there's been some days it was like 6 o'clock at night, and I probably cracked, a couple Coke Zeros that you can't count, and I still got 3/4 of a gallon, and I'm like, whoa, here we go.
Yeah. Pounding water like the old days. So,
Yeah.
and so that's good. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I think people could check it out. But that's a lot of training, an hour and a half a day for 75 days. I mean, granted that outdoor stuff for a lot of people, it's probably going for a walk, or like you said, that's going to be when you take your dog for a walk probably for the next 30 days.
Yeah, it'll be good. I started off pretty strong. Like I got some massive blisters like on the soles of my feet and just I'm all in, so I throw on the vest at 30 pounds and I'm like, all right, I'm going to progressively overload. And, so I do a weight training session in the garage at night and I would do the walk in the morning. But I think what's been great about it is just the autonomy to choose. Like, some days it's like, hey, I'm going to do this 45-minute yoga. All right, cool. Or I'm going to do a strongman workout in the, outside. Or like yesterday I went for a run and I did intervals and I'm like, all right, like get it done, check it off and then go to work. But yeah, having the dog, I think will help that.
And it's amazing too. I think for so many people, if they start that, they'd be like, I can't fit in an hour and a half. And meanwhile, 75 days later, they've done an hour and a half. It seems like this immense amount of time, but it's working for them. You there, Adam? I see you blinking.
Yeah, I hear you now.
Oh, I was saying you were just like, it looked like you were frozen, but I think you were actually just deep in thought for a second. So it's like an hour and a
Always.
half seems overwhelming for a lot of people, but it turns out they can make it happen. It kind of eliminates your ability to make excuses.
Yeah, and again, it's made me a better coach because I've learned to accept the challenges that are in your day, right? But I've also kind of challenged myself and I've challenged, some of the kids I work with. Like again, it's evaluating priorities, it's going back to your identity and your values. And, shoot, I was on vacation and we go to my wife's family we go tenting, camping in Lake Winnipesaukee, New Hampshire. We're literally like on an island 20 minutes away from the mainland and in a tent. And I'm like, how am I going to make this work? So I brought a jump rope, I brought my weighted vest, and that was it, and got it done. But like drinking water, that was the hardest thing I did. I was trying to make excuses because we didn't have any potable drinking water. So I had to bring 7 gallons with me and cut the excuses out. So it's been a good refresh for me. I've been better, harder because of it, as Andy would say.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Well, you got to get a workout in. You got to go. I haven't seen you drink any water during this hour. So you
None.
need to, because I try to taper my water by about 5, 6 o'clock at night, or else I'm
Yeah.
up peeing all night. So I get ahead of it early in the day. So one thing we just have to mention is if you go over to precisionnutrition.com/, it's a forward slash. We agreed on that?
I think so. It's leaning forward.
It's leaning forward. So precisionnutrition.com/best hour. You'll get to see a nutrition calculator that was exclusively set up for us, the access to this calculator for the best hour listeners. What do you know what they can get out of this calculator?
Yeah. So if you are a coach looking to give your clients macros and understand how macros are implemented into our hand-based portion sizing, sample recipes, it's an incredible PDF to help you and your coaches and clients really get a good game plan for performance. So it's something I use with the athletes I work with and gives you insights on how you can kind of tweak things, where they are right now, what their activity levels are, how you want them to eat, how they want to eat, carnivore, keto. I don't think we have carnivore on there, but change the percentages, how many meals, it's going to take care of you. So I know we didn't talk a lot about nutrition, but this was a good chat, just catching up and talking about life and what's been new. So I look forward to the next one, Jason.
Yeah, it's nice just to talk Star Wars and water, really, if when given the opportunity. But you know, for those interested in carnivore, it's very similar to keto percentages. So if you go over to precisionnutrition.com/best hour and you know someone that's interested in the keto kind of lifestyle, it's very similar to carnivore. I'm taking in a ton of fat, moderate amount of protein, zero carbs for the most part. I have a couple pieces of gum. When I work out, I like to chew gum, so that's about 1 carb a day. Other than that,
Wow.
I tell you what, I feel very good. I feel
I
very
would
good.
I'd love to hear more on our next chat on kind of maybe some metrics you took or performances. And I can only get so much by following Smelly's Instagram account and listening to Joe. So
As you know, with doing experiments and having to keep everything clean and all that, I've probably not done that well enough because the quarantine was a little, my body was coming into this a little bit biased. My training was off, but yeah, we'll definitely chat about it. I'm enjoying it. I wouldn't say if you're listening to dive in just because I'm enjoying it after 3 weeks, but do some research and as it progresses, I'll keep everybody posted.
3 weeks, that's solid, man.
It
You've
was
kind of you've gone
yeah,
over the
three
hump.
weeks yesterday, and I've really not. There's not been one moment where I've been like, I don't want to do this anymore. Your taste change. I'm a snacker at night, like we said, like whether it's watching Marvel or The Umbrella Academy, which maybe I'll start tonight. I like to chill out. That's my chubby by
Yeah.
nature. I like to refer to it as when I'm like, so I'm having salami instead of peanut butter, or I'm having jerky instead of nuts and more. So it's good. And one thing I love about it for me is it's basically a very significant elimination diet. That's really what it is, right? Like you're not having
Mhm.
anything but meat. And I had a little bit of cheese, which is by definition part of this carnivore diet on Saturday. And until yesterday, I was having like acid reflux, which I've never
Oh
had.
man.
Never had it. It was just like something's in my chest. So it was interesting to say, hey, by really eliminating everything, now I'm finding out what my body's not happy with.
What's your favorite meal on this so far? The thing that you like to cook the most, or I should say eat the most?
Chicken wings. Chicken wings. My wife makes them. We bought the party packs of them at Costco, or
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean, and chicken wings are college food, right? Like
Love
that
it.
just that reminds me of eating and enjoying college. But chicken wings are just delicious. I do put Frank's on there. I don't know if that's considered perfect carnivore.
I think you're good. I mean, I was going to ask if how you flavored it, if you do a dry rub or Frank's Red Hot. So I'll
We
give you the
do
pass on that one.
Yeah, there's zero of anything in there.
Yeah,
So I've had somebody on the show that's like super strict, nothing. And then I've had other people talk about how they, if there's sauce on it, no big deal so long as
yeah,
it's meat. And like we've said, it's got to work for you. If you're so strict that you don't put Franks on and the diet lasts 3 days, it probably wasn't a good idea to cut Franks out. And I could
yeah.
drink. I think I might start a hard 75 challenge where you have to drink a bottle of Franks every day.
I've been known to take a couple shots of hot sauce during the day to kickstart the metabolism. So you let me know when you want to start.
All right, we'll do it. So precisionnutrition.com/best hour. This has been Adam Feit, precision nutrition expert, coach. What's your doctorate going to be in?
It's going to be in sport and exercise psychology.
Dude, that's exactly, where are you doing that?
I am doing that at Springfield College in Massachusetts. I
I almost went to
am.
Springfield
No
for my
way.
undergrad. Yeah, wrestling. I got recruited to wrestle there.
Yeah. Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't want to
Great
go to Penn.
program.
Yeah, I didn't want to go there. There was a D3 program, but it was legit, really
Yeah.
very legit team. So you're going, because that's something I was just talking to my buddy about. I'd love to find an online doctorate program for that. I've got my master's, but
I can recommend a few. Mine was in person, so my wife teaches there now, so we're living like 15 minutes away from campus. But yeah, there's some other good opportunities out there. I'll send you a list. And but yeah, I'm writing my discussion right now. I've done my dissertation. I'm going to clean this up. Hopefully by the next time we chat, if not the second time we chat on our reoccurring series, we're going to be Dr. Coach Adam. So I'm fired up, man. I'm looking forward to it.
I want to have you on for the first time you're on a show. I know you're on many podcasts where you're the doctor. Okay,
Here's what
that's
I'll
all I
do.
ask.
As soon as I get my defense scheduled, because there's a lot happening right now with the return to school. So, graduating Adam isn't on their priority list, which I guess I understand. As soon as I successfully get out of there, I'll post the photo and then I'll tag you and I'll be like,
All right.
and
Man,
we'll
you
do it as
got,
soon as we can.
you're impressive. You got 2 kids. You're teaching basically and having to learn. You just have to stay a day ahead of the kids, right? That's really all it comes down to. But
These days,
teaching,
it's like 10 minutes.
teaching, finishing up your doctorate. I mean, married, working for PN, taking on clients, changing up your nutrition, doing the hard 75. It's impressive, dude. It's impressive. I appreciate you coming on despite all you got going on. And now maybe the highest accolade, the biggest and coolest thing you're doing is a new pup. So what are you gonna name it?
Ooh, we're going. So we've got a female, and we're gonna go with Ruby Roo. So,
Like, what's the song? Is that what it's after? The 90s song? I could see Ruby Ruby. I don't remember what song.
we weren't thinking that, but my son said
Ruby Tuesday.
I like Ruby Tuesday salad bar back in the day.
Oh, that was the best when you thought you were eating healthy you're just slamming blue cheese on everything.
And the croutons, you cannot discount the croutons are amazing. But yeah, I haven't been to a salad bar in months. I don't think those are gonna be coming back anytime soon.
I was gonna say I don't think they exist anymore. But well, good luck with Ruby this weekend.
Thanks, man.
My piece of advice as a dog owner my entire life is dogs are inherently good. They are only bad when they need exercise.
That's easy to do with fit guys like us, right?
Yeah, just exercise. We have one other, our Doodle is insane. But you take her for a 3-6 mile walk, she's a different dog. And this one can just sleep all day. But, exercise. It's not the dog's fault. It's your fault. There you go. That's all my advice for you, Adam. Thank you so much for coming on. And best of luck with your dissertation. I'll see you next time I see you. It'll be Dr. Adam Feit.
I'm hoping, my man. I'll do what I can. I'll see you on the other side.
Thanks for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. How cool is that? There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, so it becomes super simple. Some of these episodes with Fern or Todd or myself chatting with one another, we've done right within the app itself. Anchor will make it easy to distribute your podcast to all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make an awesome podcast in one place. All you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Thanks again for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. If you haven't already, do us a favor, head over to the Apple Podcast app and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback for either Fern or myself, hit us up, besthouroftheirday@gmail.com, or send us a DM over on Instagram at Best Hour of Their Day. Once again, we couldn't do this without the amazing community, and you are a part of it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting Best Hour of Their Day.